Greetings Wanderer, this is Atlas here and welcome to the Void. I recently finished Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Zen, and as I did with Dark Souls Remastered, I am going to do a tier list of the original soundtrack of Dark Souls 2. So let's start right away with the first track that we have right here, which is the main menu song, which I'm going to be placing in S tier. Okay, let me just put it over here, right? Surprisingly enough, we're starting right off the bat with an S tier track. Now, the reason why I am placing this song in S tier is because not only this is the first song that we hear in the game, it also encompasses so much of what Dark Souls is, in my opinion. Even though it's a tame stripped song, it communicates all of the universe and what the world is, of what the Dark Souls world is. It's depressive. It's a perfect song to introduce you to the game. And you know, one thing that is quintessential in the song is that whatever happens in the world of Dark Souls, whether you win or lose or whatever happens, it just keeps being a bleak, ruinous world. And that's what the main menu theme has overall in its composition and what it's trying to achieve in its storytelling, alright? So the main menu theme is going to be S tier. Now, let's move on to Longing. Longing is, I think Longing is in S tier too. Alright? It follows the same premise as the main menu song. Is very tamed, it's depressive, stripped. Same premise as whatever happens, the world is still bleak and ruinous. But what this song has to offer as in contrast with the main menu is that this song sounds more like a swan song. Like this is a bye-bye song, this is the end of a journey and whatnot. So in general terms, it's very communicates a lot of storytelling than the main menu themes has, but Longing is more about not an introduction, but you know, a swan song, a goodbye kind of song, right? All right, so let's move to Child of Dog. Okay, this is the song. This is a song that it's in the Shrine of Amana, I think. And I think I'm gonna place this song in B tier. This is a very stripped song. I mean, I don't think you can get as stripped as this one. And one particular thing that is very interesting about stripped down songs, especially so stripped down since this is an a cappella song, is that it's so much. It has so much vulnerability. Like the more you strip down a song, the more you peel layers from a song, and you just stay with one instrument, with one element of a song, then it becomes so incredibly. It becomes all about the details and the vulnerability of a song, of a song, because you don't have layers to cover for whatever that is lacking in your in your songwriting skills, let's say. So you only have one chance, you know what I mean? Maybe with a full orchestra, maybe you're not so good at writing like counter melodies and whatnot, but you can cover that with a big, massive brass section or something along those lines, you know what I mean? But the more you strip a song from layers and instruments and whatnot, especially this, because this is not, well, it isn't an instrument, it is, but it is a human voice, you know. It's even more you're even more vulnerable because you can't get more organic, you know, in that regard. that it doesn't get more organic than the human voice. So in that regard, I'm gonna give it a B tier. It's a fantastic, beautiful song that really goes along with the world building and the lore of the game and whatnot. All right. So let's go with Worshippers of the Dead. Worshippers of the Dead. I'm gonna place this one in C tier. I think that this is also a tame song, relatively tame song. There is a spiccato section in the middle that is really cool, and the song has a really good flow in between the sections. The brass sounds fantastic and has long sustained arrangements in the brass section. But other than that, I don't think this is a song that I would put over C tier, in my opinion. All right. So let's go over to Nowhere. Nowhere is the song that plays when you leave the throne in at the end of the game. I think I'm gonna leave Nowhere in B tier. B tier because again, I think that the songs that are more stripped down are the ones that talk the most about the game in general, the whole game. Not so much about characters in specific, although it does to a certain degree, but what Dark Souls is, the essence of Dark Souls. So, again, it's a tame song. There's some throat singing in it, which I think it's a fantastic touch. And the choirs are very tame too, It's like pocketed, very, very focused into creating this intensity in the vulnerability of a stripped track, let's say. The only thing that I don't like too much is that it's a really short song, but at the end of the day, it's a very short cutscene that you see at the end. So that's going to be Nowhere in B tier, all right? Let's go with Remains. Remains is a second is a song that plays in the credits. I think it's the second song that we hear. I think that Remains can go into A tier. Let me place it here in A tier. I am very biased towards this track because even though many people might disregard it as another track, whatever, as a filler track, it's just that I particularly feel very drawn to piano pieces, solo piano pieces. And another thing that is really cool about this track is that it has a little bit of the Aldia leitmotif going at the beginning of a song, which is a very cool callback because I think the Aldia theme not only is in its storytelling talks a lot about what Dark Souls is as a whole, but what Dark Souls 2 is in a specific. I think it's probably the song that talks the most about Dark Souls 2 overall, but I'm going to go there, when I get to that song, alright? So, Remains is going to be A tier. Okay, Bearer of the Curse. Bearer of the Curse is going to be C tier for me. It has a very cool, kind of a sort of a Middle Eastern feel at the beginning. And I think throughout the song, it has very cool accents and has a very good rhythm to it. But at the same time, I couldn't really hear any other particular thing in this particular song that would push it above C tier. But still, a very solid song, alright? Scene and Crowns I'm not going to rate because this song was not used in the game as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to jump right into The Last Giant, which is going to be also a C tier. The Last Giant has, this is the fierce boss that I fought in the game. It has a big brass section which, in terms of what the character is, this is a big giant boss. you know, it matches sort of the boss size, and also the tempo of the track also sort of matches what the character is in terms of the visual representation of it. Throughout the mid part of a song, you know, half of a song around there, it has a sort of a martial percussion arrangement, not so much in the snare. I don't think there's a snare arrangement in this track, but in the timpani that is sort of martial, and I think it was really cool. But however, I don't think it was necessarily exploited a good amount. But at the same time, I don't think this song should have had like a martial. I mean, at the same time, I don't think it should have been more exploited, because the last giant is not represented necessarily as a soldier or anything like that, even though we find in a memory later in the game that this is, you know, the giant lord that was, you know, trapped in there. So yeah, maybe that's like a kind of a nitpick for me, but it would be like C tier for me in that regard, right? Okay, the Berserker team is going to be C tier 2. This is also a relatively tamed song. I think it's, however, I think this song is very fitting for the Berserker in terms of what the Berserker is and what he does in the game. He's always chasing you. The composition works as this sort of hunter-prey sort of dynamic. He's always lurking. He's always hunting you. Hides in the shadows and strikes. You know, he presents himself from this shadowy, you know, vapor, smoky kind of thing, which makes him seem like this hideous, not hideous, like this hidden, that's the word, hidden sort of figure that is always like watching what you're doing and whatnot, you know, and presents himself when he sees the opportunity that it's going to be on his, let's say, to his benefit. Like it's the arena is it's going to be on his side. Let's say the odds are going to be on his side. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, the Berserker is going to be a C tier in my opinion. Right? Old Dragon Slayer is the next one, and I'm going to place Old Dragon Slayer in D tier. I think this song, this is going to be, by the way, for most of the songs, or all of the songs, I would say, in D tier. These songs are like average songs, in my opinion. They are there, they accomplish what they are trying to do. They do the job, basically. They don't go so far ahead to do more than that. What I like about this particular track, however, in a specific, it's that I like that it mellows out at the half point of a song, which serves to release the tension of a track and build it again. The arrangement at the half point of a track, I really like. But other than that, it's just a song that goes in, does the job, and gets out. Basically, something along those lines. All right. So, Departure. This is a C tier song. This is an atmospheric song. This is a very situational song because it's for a cutscene. So, I mean, other than that, you know, it's all about the cinematic, the cutscene that you hear, that you watch. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have like super crazy arrangements and whatnot. It's a very tame, very focused to. It's a very essential song towards what the cutscene needs, alright? So, in that regard, I think it does a great job, but if you take it out of that, it's not like a particularly... it's not a particular song that you would hear like, oh my god, it's just so amazing, you know? But it works very well to what it pertains, you know? It's a cutscene song, that's it. Alright? Okay. So, Dragon Rider. I will place this in D tier. You know, even though even though this song should be above this, because first of all, this song has an organ and a harpsichord, and I really love when those instruments are used in soundtracks. Even though I think, even though the song has those instruments, I couldn't find anything in particular that I was drawn to. But you know, again, D tier still does the job. Goes in, does the job, gets out. So I'm gonna place Dragon Rider in D tier. Okay. Flexile Sentry. Okay. This one is super odd. I'm gonna place it in E tier. And the reason for this is that I think that this song is very detached from what the boss is and where the fight takes place in. First of all, the Flexile Sentry is an reasonably agile boss, especially compared to all other bosses, you know. Some of the major bosses in this game are super slow, or almost like they stay in one place, almost. But the Flexile Sentry, you know, breaks those odds. It's a relatively agile boss, and you fight it in a very claustrophobic place where, you know, water is, you know, flooding the arena. So if you take those two things in consideration, then I think that the soundtrack could have been more describing of that situation. You know, the stakes are high because, well, first of all, it's a boss battle. Second of all, it's a sort of agile boss. And third, the arena is working against you in a claustrophobic space. So I think the Flexile Sentry song, it's super brooding. It starts super brooding, but somehow doesn't match what the boss is. I mean, like this boss doesn't even have a cutscene for that super brooding start, a slow start to, you know, to have some any kind of weight or whatsoever. You know, it's not like the Flexile Sentry comes from out of the shadows or something like that. You know, to be able to build that tension with that super brooding start. And nor the boss or the arena have anything to do with this track, you know, in my opinion. So I think it was done just because it needed a soundtrack, and that's it. I think that's my take in regards to the Flexile Sentry, alright? Now the Ruined Sentinels are going to be on B tier. The brass and percussion arrangement in this track is fantastic. I think that it's because it transports me to ancient Greece. And also, you know, the very design of the Ruined Sentinels have this sort of phalanx, Macedonian phalanx design, you know, with this super long spear. I don't remember if they have like a spear or a halberd or something. I think it's a halberd. But you know, the whole armor with the rounded shield and whatnot, I think it's very Greek inspired for the most part. And I think this could be the case that the composer took a little bit of the inspiration in that regard. If the original soundtrack was, you know, composed at a later stage in the development, you know, to have those kind of brass and percussion arrangement that are very, they are very reminiscent of these Greek epics sort of soundtracks that you would hear in movies from the 70s and whatnot. Okay, so I'm gonna place Ruined Sentinels in B tier in that regard. The storytelling, you know, it's pretty good. So next we have Belfry Gargoyle. I'm going to place in the E tier, just because it's the same song as in Dark Souls Remastered. They probably did this because maybe lack of funding, lack of time. You know, the game had a very troublesome development, and it wouldn't be so far-fetched to think that this bled a little bit into the composition of the music of this game a little bit. So I think what they could have done is make an original track, but preserve the leitmotif of the Belfry Gargoyles. It's a very valid, solid proposition, you know, to have the callback of that leitmotif from the previous game. Creates a little bit of nostalgia also. Why not? But have it as a very, you know, as its own thing, its own composition. However, at the same time, the Belfry Gargoyles, I don't know, it wasn't a meh sort of boss in the game, so I mean, it would have been a sort of a waste maybe to make a whole original song for this boss if it is just like, yeah, you know what I mean. But anyways, let's move on to the Lost Sinner. Now, this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, I think, but I'm gonna place the Lost Sinner in B tier. The reason for this is because I think the storytelling of the track fits very well with the boss. The song is super brooding. It has these long, sustained arrangements in all its layers, and when you think about the Lost Sinner, you know, it's in this arena that is very ill lit. I was able to fight this boss with the two torches. I light the two torches, so I didn't fight completely in the dark. But this is a creature that lurks and dwells in the dark, you know, in pitch black dark. So I think in that regard, the song actually complements that very premise. You know, the Lost Sinner is a creature of the shadows. It's a creature that dwells in the dark. Even though it's not really an exciting song, you know what I mean? It's not like it has some really crazy big arrangements of wall of sounds or sort of arrangements. I think it's a B tier because it really fits the storytelling of where you fight the boss and who the boss is, you know what I mean? Based on those very inconspicuous premises, let's say. Alright, now let's go with Executioner Chariot. It's going to be a D tier. I don't really have anything too much to talk about this. It does the job. Goes in, does the job, and gets out. Nothing particularly exciting about this particular song in the soundtrack. That's it. Okay, now let's go with the Skeleton Lord. Skeleton Lord is going to be B tier for me. Even though the boss battle is not like the craziest thing in the world, but the thing is that I really like the Skeleton Lord because I really like the leitmotif of the song. I like the leitmotif of the song along with the inclusion of the harpsichord. Also, the song is very simple, you know, and it in its composition, and I think that allows you to sort of follow it more easy in an easier way, and just jam to the song. However, of course, it's not like when you're fighting the bosses, you pay too much attention to the music, you know what I mean? But now that I got a chance to listen to the whole soundtrack outside of the game, but with the context of the game, then yeah, I would say the Skeleton Lords is a fantastic song for that boss, because it also follows a lot of the tropes that are in compositions for those kind of bosses, you know, skeletal warriors and whatnot, you know, necromancy, all this sort of stuff. So I really like that. I really like those tropes. All right, let's go with Covetous Demon. Again, B tier. Does the job, but to be fair, like if the composer had to draw any sort of inspiration from this boss, I think it would have been really hard. All right, so that's the case why this song in the soundtrack is, you know, very, very average. It doesn't have anything like draws me in or whatsoever, but still goes in, does the job. It's fine. All right, let's go with Mytha. Mytha, the Baneful Queen. It's going to be C tier. Mytha has an interesting thing going on in the composition and its arrangements because in a way, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but in a way, I think this is a very Pinwheel kind of song. It's kind of a Pinwheel song part 2. Not exactly the same, but has some elements that, you know, are very reminiscent of Pinwheel in not so much as a character. They're not, you know, relatable in any sort of sense, I would say, but just in the composition, it's the style of composition, because this is a, you know what? This is also a very reminiscent track to sort of those Danny Elfman songs, you know, that are very stripped but have these quirky passages with glockenspiel and harpsichords and whatnot. And it's also a very open song. It's sort of a playful song too, which I suppose it has to do with Mytha playing with her own head and throwing it at you or something. But yeah, if you want to listen to sort of an example of what I'm talking about, you can hear the Danny Elfman soundtrack for Beetlejuice. Okay, it's an 80s movie. All right. Old Iron King. I'm gonna place Old Iron King in D tier. Same thing as the other ones. Does the job, and that's it. I'm not really going to talk too much about this one. Nothing in particular that I would like to point out. All right. Let's go with Firekeepers. I think Firekeepers could be in B tier, but you know, on top of B tier, like around here. Yeah. It follows the same premise that I was talking about with the main menu on Longing and Remains. You know, stripped down songs that talk about what Dark Souls is, the essence of Dark Souls, the core of Dark Souls, the soul of Dark Souls. Okay, that's what these stripped down, tamed songs are all about for me. That's why I like them so much, because they talk about the all-encompassing universe of Dark Souls. Not something about specific, but about everything. And no matter what happens, no matter if you take the crown, no matter if you become, if you like the flame, no matter if you become the Dark Lord, whatever happens, it's still a bleak, ruinous world. All right. Nachka. Scorpioness Nachka. D. It's going to be a D tier. Although I will say that it's one of the few songs where I heard woodwind's arrangements. It has a woodwind arrangement in the song, which I thought it was pretty cool, because it actually takes the song so much out of what the other songs have. I think no other track in the whole soundtrack has woodwind arrangements in the track except for this one, if my memory serves me correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna go with that because that's what my memory serves so far. All right, Royal Rat Authority. You know what happens with Royal Rat Authority is that I think that this song works really well as a level song, but not as a boss song. So I'm gonna place it in E tier. Really good. I mean, if this song was the level song of that area, of that tomb area, it would have been really good. And you could think that, well, it sort of is, because it plays in that realm, right? But the thing is that this is a boss battle. Well, boss battle song. So, I mean, I don't think the Royal Rat Authority should have been a boss in any shape, way or form, but anyways, Yeah, it's going to be an E tier. It's like... I wish it didn't even have a soundtrack, to be honest. But anyways, alright. Let's keep moving on. The Duke's Dear Freya. Yeah. D tier. Nothing particularly interesting. I mean, you know, it's a song that it's a solid song, but it just works. Like, it goes in, does the bare minimum to make it work, and then gets out. That's about it. And that's the same thing with of all the songs that are going to be in D tier. All right. Royal Red Vanguard. D tier. Same thing. Nothing particularly interesting or that I got drawn towards the song. Does the job, gets out. The Rotten. Okay, the Rotten is going to be a C tier for me. It has low pitch choirs, which I like. The throat singing is awesome. It's a strip song with harpsichords, but somehow it doesn't belong to the boss aesthetics, and I don't know. I listen to the song and I don't really envision the Rotten while listening to the song. Like, I was trying to, while I was listening to the track, I said, well, this has actually cool things going on in the composition, but is this the Rotten? Is this song the Rotten? The Rotten is an abomination, you know. It's made of all these corpses, you know, like wailing corpses asking for help. Just a mashed thing. Abomination, right? Big, sturdy, hideous, slow, fat. You know, it's disgusting. But somehow, listening to the song, I couldn't really picture the Rotting being in the song. You know what I mean? The storytelling was not there, in my opinion. However, the song has really, really cool arrangements in it. So that's kind of a saving grace in regards to that song in specific. So that's why I'm placing it in C tier. But because otherwise it would be here or here. All right. Looking Glass Night is going to be a C tier 2. And I'm torn about this song. I think the Looking Glass Night is one of the best battles in Dark Souls 2. In fact, I'm going to say that it's one of the best battles in between Dark Souls 1 and 2. Super up there. Character is amazing. The arena is amazing. However, I think that one of the most important elements, and I'm talking about elements literally, in what the fight is, the boss battle is the rain. The rain was so compelling in that fight. The whole lightning, rainy arena with this very reflective, armor-clad giant knight. You know, very deliberately trying to slash you down. I wanted to hear more of that, of the element of the water being translated in the music itself, and it wasn't. And to be honest with you, I can't think for the life of me how could you accomplish that. But I think it would have been really cool to have that element translated in the music itself. Because to me, I'm very drawn to water, water levels, things that have to do with water, because maybe it's because of my thalassophobia. I think it is called, I don't really like deep masses of water. I have a really good fear about that, but at the same time, I'm really intrigued about those things. That's why I like movies like The Abyss and stuff like that, you know. Super terrifying for me, but they are incredibly intriguing at the same time. So I wanted to have that intrigue of the rain and the water being translated in the soundtrack, but maybe this is a nitpick, certainly. But it would have been really cool, nevertheless. Alright. So, Dark Lurker. E tier. One thing that I can say about this song is that I really like the harp runs towards the end of the track, but other than that, does the job. Okay? Alright. Demo of song is going to be E tier. I really can't say anything about it, other than I was getting asleep while I was listening to the song. Not a really exciting song. And listen, it doesn't have to, a song doesn't really have to be exciting, quote unquote, to be interesting and you know, deep and whatnot, because if we're talking about the main menu and Longing and Remains, Nowhere and Firekeepers, they're not exciting, you know, they're not filling you with energy and whatnot, but they are super meaningful, deep songs, you know what I mean? But this song doesn't have one of the other, it doesn't have either. So I'm gonna place it in E tier, alright? Okay, let's move on to Velstad. Velstad is going to be E tier. And what I'm going to say about this is I can't believe they did this to this badass of a character. It happened, the same thing happened to me. This soundtrack has the same thing as Demon of Song going on. I was falling asleep listening to the soundtrack, and I can't believe that this character had that song going on. But listen, it happens. You're not going to write masterpieces all the way, all the time. It's incredibly difficult to do that, especially if you're on a time crunch and whatnot, which often happens. In whatever you do professionally, in whatever you do, there's always a time crunch. There is enough time to do what you think is the time you need to write a masterpiece or whatnot. So yeah, you have to just work your way around that and just work with what the setting is in terms of a time or whatnot. But anyways, yes, Velstad is going to be an E tier. Rest in peace, my friend. Alright. Vendrick. Vendrick is a B tier. I'm gonna place it again. You start noticing the pattern here, right? Stripped down, tame songs. Not necessarily atmospheric songs, but stripped down songs with very deep, meaningful meanings. Very, very a deep expression. Vendrick, it's, well, you know what? Vendrick leans more towards an atmospheric track. And I think it works perfectly for Vendrick because it's all about representing the current state of the king. He's absolutely hollow. Like, he's in the worst, sorry state that you could ever imagine. It's a stripped, tame, minimal song. And just as the character himself, it's reduced to nothingness. It's almost nothingness. And that's what King Vendrick's song actually tells. That's the storytelling of a song. And since the storytelling of a song, if you close your eyes and listen to the song and you can see Vendrick, then the song accomplishes what it was meant to accomplish. So King Vendrick, it's going to be a B tier. It's not going to be above that because I think these songs are way more deeper and have more of that vulnerable and also bleak, ruinous feeling, brooding around it. But it's still a very good song. All right. So Majula. Of course. Majula. Can you guess where Majula is going to be? I mean, look at this. Look at the pattern here. Huh? Where could Majula be? If Atlas plays the main menu and longing remains on A, know where Firekeepers and Inventory can be? Above Ruin Sentinels? You really? Are you serious? Well, of course, Majula is going to be S tier. S tier! Right here. Right here. I think Majula is probably the best song of the whole soundtrack. I kid you not. Well, yeah, it's I think it's there. It's up there. Super awesome town song. I'm really having trouble deciding if I like this one better than Firelink Shrine. They are both incredibly great songs, and I placed Firelink Shrine, the Firelink Shrine theme, in S tier in the tier list that I made for Dark Souls Remastered, which I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video in case you want to check that out. But just wait, just watch this video first, and then you can go check that out. All right? Yes, amazing, awesome town song. This is the only anchor of peace and hope in all of Drangleic. You know, a place of rest and quiet. It's a very vulnerable song with a lot of expression in the instruments. The brass and the strings and the string section that are part of the song are super buried in the back. They're almost like a ghostly figure in the song. I mean, yeah, the song is just too good. And it's also very descriptive of what Majula is, what Majula represents in the world of Drangleic, how it makes you feel, the scenery, the dawn of the sun, the calmness, and this open body of water that you see never ending towards the horizon. It's just pure poetry, mate. And Majula, really. That's one thing that Firelink Shrine doesn't have. Firelink Shrine doesn't have that. It's more of a ruinous place with these ruins, and it's bleak, and the only thing that you can see is you know, the path towards the undead berg. So it doesn't have this more of a poetic sightseeing, but Majula has that. So in that regard, I could even say that Majula, you know, it's better in some ways than Dark Firelink Shrine theme. That's for sure. So look at that. Blasphemy. But I love that song. It's amazing. Anyways. The Throne Defender and Throne Watcher are going to be D tier. You know the drill. Does the job. Nothing else I can say about that. The Guardian Dragon is going to be an E tier. This song, I was falling asleep. As simple as that. Nothing particularly interesting about the song, but it's just even below average. Nothing going on there to my liking. But I should actually place this around here for the Flexile Sentry, because this song is so detached from what it actually pertains that I think it's worse than everything else. Maybe except this, maybe? Yeah, well, it's around like the last one, okay? Alright, let's go with... Okay, I'm going to skip Ancient Dragon because I didn't fight this boss in the game, okay? So I'm going to jump right to Nashandra. Nashandra is a fantastic song, and I'm going to tell you why. Frailty and power. She's the queen of Drangleic. I heard in a lore video in YouTube that Nashandra was the least powerful shard from Manus. I'm not really sure if this is the case or not, but if this is true, it actually makes a lot of sense, because that would leave her to be, which she actually was, the most conniving and scheming shard of them all. Because she was the one that seduced Vendrick and made him declare war upon the giants and whatnot, made him do these terrible things. And it was because not because her power in the sense of her raw power, but because she found a way to compensate for that lack of power in the power as being a shard of Manus, in becoming the most conniving and scheming of all the shards. So she's the most powerful in that regard. And on top of that, you have the female choirs, which of course talk about the queen. You know, she's a female, obviously. And the harp also, there's some arrangements with harpsichords that add a regal touch to it. You know, the regal touch of the queen. So if you listen to the song, it speaks all about Nashandra. It speaks so much about the lore, about her story. And to be fair, like, Nashandra is not even like a boss battle, to be fair. She just stands there to get killed. So, and if I'm completely honest with you, I think that's what she wanted. She wanted you to take the throne. Because if you are the most powerful one, then she wanted you to take the throne, you know, to embrace the dark or whatever. And become the Dark Lord, as she saw fit, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the song has a fantastic storytelling. I hear the song and I see Nashandra in the song. 100%. Fantastic song. Does it work like a boss battle song? Again, I don't think this is you could call it a boss battle, to be honest. But you make your mind about that. I don't think it's really that boss battle, you know, whatever. Okay, let's go with Ilana, the Squalid Queen, another Manus shard, another children of the dark. Ilana is a B tier, and it follows the same premise as Nashandra. The same thing. However, their string arrangement in Ilana's song are the string and choir arrangements in Ilana's song. You know, with the occasional heavy percussion sections to build more tension and communicate the threat that is within, the frailty of herself. Because let's remember something, like Nashandra and Ilana, they are shards of a way more powerful being. So of course they're being like a broken piece of something that is complete. There's an innate frailty to it. Now you also have the frailty of, you know, the female figure, you know, the delicacy and the frailty of the female figure, and then it adds more to the premise of what the song is trying to communicate, you know. However, I think the Nashandra theme is, I think it's more deep and more it has more expression than Ilana in some sense. And maybe it is because Ilana, you know, has her some minions, and then she summons Velstad, a Velstad clone or whatever. So in that regard, the soundtrack needed a little bit more of an edge, if you will. But Nashandra is more of a chill kind of experience. So yeah, Ilana is going to be a B tier. Now, Sin, the Slumbering Dragon. Listen, this track is S tier. And this is probably the only fully orchestral song that I would say is, and I will even put it right here, in front of the main menu unlocking. It's not going to be Majula, but mate, this song is one of the best Dark Souls songs that I ever heard. In between Dark Souls Remastered and this one. This song is absolutely incredible. It has a massive opening, which very fitting to what the boss is. You know, it's a massive, poisonous, lethal dragon that killed the whole civilization. You know, the whole sunken city. That originally was protecting him. So it's even more bleak. You know, all the layers are involved in that massive opening. The leitmotif of this track is absolutely fantastic. I love it. This is probably my favorite leitmotif along with the Aldia one. You know, I think it's overall the best composed song in terms of the balance of all the sections, of the brass section and the string section, the percussion and whatnot. And it doesn't feel overly cheesy. You know, when you hear choirs and whatnot, or the brass is too loud or anything. I think it's so well balanced. That is, it even in the points where it has it climaxes, it even in the points where it does have a climax, that's what I'm trying to say, it doesn't sound like overly stimulating, you know what I mean? So I think, yes, Seeing the Slumbering Dragon is a fantastic song. It's one of the best songs in Dark Souls, for sure. Alright. Fume Knight is going to be B tier, alright? This is sort of a difficult song to get drawn by, but it doesn't really need to have like an anchoring hook to be descriptive of who the Fume Knight is, okay? This song has a brass and choirs that have great energy levels, you know, very, very powerful energy towards being communicated through the brass and the choir arrangements, which of course are pertain to who the Fume Knight is. It's like a badass. This was the other boss where I hit a wall, you know. It took me a fair amount of tries to beat the Fume Knight. I think the percussion arrangement in this song is fantastic. It's probably one of the best percussion arrangements that are in the whole soundtrack overall. However, like I said before, this song doesn't have like a melody or something that you hook on, like you would even hum or, you know, sing along or whatnot, you know. It's very primitive and primordial in that sense. But it has an overarching composition that actually really speaks well about, you know, this. It tells the storytelling of the Fume Knight very well, even though it doesn't have that other thing. Alright. Seer Alone is going to be A tier. Now, I changed my mind in regards to this song. I did a breakdown for this song and I didn't rate it as high as this. But now, with the context of the game and giving it and having another listen of the track, I think it is up there. It's an A tier. It's a very refined, elegant, and regal song. The string section is great, has great arrangements, and it also has sort of this waltz kind of thing. So it feels like sort of a dance with death itself, in a sense, you know what I mean? And if you translate all those attributes towards who Seer Alone is and where the fight takes place, then it makes absolute sense, you know. Even the arena is just pristine, you know. The floor, you know, there's this whole meme about the floor and whatnot. We you know, not counting that like you take into consideration where the fight takes place. The fact that there's actual light coming into the arena, there's light, like there's like sunlight, and you have this very honorable warrior, very agile warrior, had these ambitions and whatnot, and the whole set of the arena talks about, you know, the refinement, the elegancy, and the regal tone to it. It's absolutely there in the soundtrack of Seer Alone. So it's going to be an A tier from me. Ava, the king's pet, is going to be E tier. I was falling asleep when I was listening to the song, unfortunately. Nothing really to add about the song. Didn't care too much about the song. The Burnt Ivory King is going to be A tier. This song is all about the tragedy. Because the Burnt Ivory King is such a tragic tale. It's one of the most tragic tales in the game, for sure. This Giga Chad went into hell itself to defend his kingdom. He didn't send like his most powerful warrior or whatever, or he didn't hire like a bunch of mercenaries or an army or anything to defend his kingdom from the old chaos. Nope. He himself, with a retinue of his loyal Lois knights, went into the flames himself to protect his kingdom. I don't think you can get any more Giga Chat than that. What a fantastic tale. However, the theme of this boss battle doesn't talk about that. Doesn't talk about the heroism. It talks about the falling of that character. The tragedy that it was that this lad sacrificed himself to protect his kingdom, to eventually fall prey to what it was defending his kingdom from. And then you go in the old flames as requested by her queen and put him to rest. A whole tragedy, and the song has that. I mean, I don't want. I could go into the details about the arrangement of the song itself and whatnot, but I really think that more important than that is just the fact that the storytelling of a track is so good. I'm really out of words in regards to that. I hear the song and I listen to the story of the Burnt Ivory King. And if you can, like I said before, with Vendrick and all these other songs, if you're able to visualize the story of the character and the character itself in the song, while you're listening to the song, you're not playing the game. You're listening to the song and you close your eyes and you see the character and you hear the story. That's a jackpot. That's the song. Okay? Alright. I am going to skip sparring because it's a very short track. I think this has to do with the PvP arena or something. Lot and Salen are going to be E tier. I was falling asleep with that track. Nothing to talk about that. Aldia is going to be S tier. Atmospheric tragedy. This is not really a boss battle, I would say. Same thing as Nashandra. Because I don't think atmospheric tracks do well with boss battles. Overall. But I think this is... let me put it this way. Aldia, a Scholar of the First Sin, and Nashandra themes are not boss battle themes. Are character themes. Which is different. Boss battle themes are more, to me, are to a certain degree about the character, but also where the battle takes place. What is happening in the arena and whatnot. What led you to the battle itself. So many elements account for a boss battle. But Nashandra and Aldia, a Scholar of the First Sin, are character-based songs. They talk about the characters, not the boss battle itself. And it makes sense, you know, because when you are fighting Nashandra, like I said before, it's not a boss battle, and Aldia is the same thing. They're just standing there for you to kill. So there are character themes like Nashandra. I think the leitmotif of this song is fantastic. We'll put it right here. I don't think it's as good as Sin, the Slumbering Dragon, but it's almost as good as the leitmotif in this song. And also, there's another particular thing, is that the leitmotif in Aldia song is evoked in other tracks along the soundtrack, which is pretty cool. But I still like the Sin Slumbering Dragon leitmotif more than this one. But still a fantastic leitmotif nevertheless. So yeah, Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin, is going to be S tier for me. Fantastic character theme. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, Duel, it's the same thing as this one. I think it pertains to the PvP. Okay, Queen of Dragon Lake was not used, which is a shame because this is an isolated, this is a piano piece, and I think it's a pretty good piece. But at the same time, like I said before, I am biased towards piano pieces. The Dark Chasm of Old is going to be C tier. This is one of those atmospheric tracks too. It's full of effects, you know. It's not necessarily like arrangements in instruments and string sections and whatnot. This is all about creating this giga spaced out, full of effects, cavernous. It's all about the location and this sort of a bleach blackness that there is in the Dark Chasm, okay? Which is, of course, very reminiscent to the Abyss in Dark Souls Remastered. Milfanito is going to be... this is very difficult. Let's see. I think I'm going to place Milfanito in... I'm going to put it in C tier. It's the same thing as the other song that I was talking about, where it has, this a cappella song, right? You know what? I'm actually going to place it in B tier, but it's going to be like last, because one thing that is really cool about this song, it's a beautiful song. It's an a cappella song, but the reason why I am placing it in B tier is because it borrows heavily from Nameless song from Dark Souls Remastered, and that is a giga tier-esque song from that game. So because of that reason, because it borrows the leitmotif from that song, I'm gonna bump it up to B tier. How could you not? It's just way too good. And finally, we have Dragon Memories. And Dragon Memories is going to be a D tier too. Even though this is you know what? I'm going to put it in E tier. Because this is another atmospheric song. But I don't think this is as good as Dark Chasm of Old. However, if I'm going to place this in E tier, I'm going to place it right around here. This should be the last, I think. Or maybe this one. I don't know. But yeah, I think we're done here. We have Majula, Sin, Main Menu, Aldia, and Login in S tier. 4 S tier songs for Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it with your friend. Also, please don't forget to visit my Patreon, my Ko-fi profile, and my Ko-fi store in case you want to support my work further, and my Teespring merch shop. And of course, ex nihilo nihil fit.